Well, what's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? It is now Wednesday, the 8th of August. It's time for James's Fourth on This Week in Gaming. This week, I will be talking to you about free-to-play games and what I think about them. I'll also be talking to you about some of the upcoming GTA rumours, which confirm what I was saying to you last week, that I think we might be seeing a new GTA. And I'll also be looking back over, now that we're about halfway through the year, or we've just had July and August, so we're entering sort of Q3, Q4, looking back over what I think are some of my favourite games of 2012, and also looking forward to some of the big new releases. So starting off with free-to-play and what I think about it. Now, for years and years and years, we've had, if you've gone on most gaming websites, you've gone on most sort of video sharing websites, not just like YouTube, but other ones like VU, and 2Do. If you're trying to watch stuff illegally, let's be honest, you'll see a load of adverts for MMOs, JRPG kind of things, free-to-play, etc, etc, etc. And to be perfectly frank, that kind of thing has never been of any interest to me, partly because I've always been of the opinion that if something is free-to-play, the question then becomes, how is the developer or recouping their costs? Because they're going to have to do it some way. If you're playing a monthly subscription, like with a World of Warcraft or an EVE Online or something like that, then, you're going to expect a certain level of quality, partly because you know that you are funding the studio directly, and partly because the studio knows it has a dedicated revenue stream, therefore it can afford to keep the game going a bit more and make improvements and perhaps make some more costly investments into it. If it's free to play, you wonder whether they're getting their money back, and the two obvious ways of doing that are either through effectively in-game purchasing, so the idea that even though the general game is entirely free to play, you can buy items, or by making the game free to play up to a certain level. So, for example, you get up to level 20, at which point you then go on to a subscription, or through in-house or in-game or other forms of advertising. Now, interestingly enough, a free-to-play game is about to hit the PSN, the PS3, in short order, and I'm referring to Dust 514, which is made by the makers of EVE, EVE Online. Now, this is a first-person shooter, and to be honest, it marks a bit of a departure from CCP. Is it CCP? I think it's CCP. From their kind of model. It's a free-to-play game. It's not the usual £10–15 a month subscription to EVE Online, and it's a first-person shooter. EVE Online, of course, being a PC or Mac desktop, open-world space simulator, effectively. Rather like the X series, with which I am very much in love, and I will talk a bit more about later on. EVE was one of those games which, the idea of EVE sounds absolutely fantastic, but the sheer depth and complexity in it, the way that different people play it, the way that some people go through their entire career in EVE, effectively being an agent for somebody else in order to get on a capital ship and blow it up, all of this just is sort of slightly ridiculous and a bit mad, but at the same time fundamentally very, very cool. The fact that they have an in-game elected committee. There's a fully functioning democracy within it. The economy in EVE, because of the amount of money people have invested in it, is worth hundreds of thousands of pounds of real-world money. We're not talking the kind of gold digging, or I can't remember the term actually, for what occurs in World of Warcraft, where effectively you pay players in China, for example, to work on producing level ups or power ups for you, and you pay them in real world currency. On that point, actually, it's always amazing to me how when new industries come up, people will find new and interesting ways of making money. I don't actually think Blizzard should have banned it, which they have done apparently. I think they should have just regulated it, or maybe even taxed it. Who knew? How about that for a way of controlling something in the game? Free market, liberal ideology. Blizzard don't like it. Put a small tax on it. If people still want to do it, hey, at least Blizzard are going to get a cut of it. Fair enough. I think that was probably why they banned it. I don't think they were too worried about sweatshops in China. It was probably more the fact that they weren't getting a cut. But going back to CCP and EVE, as you may know, Dust 514, first-person shooter. You will be hired or have the ability to be hired out for contracts to the various corporations, guilds, all the rest of it in EVE Online, and you will fight on planets, securing or attempting to secure assets for rival corporations. This is unbelievably cool for another reason, which is, whilst you're pottering around on the planet in your kind of, Battlefield 3 COD-esque, shooting the opposition team, you will be directly linked in to the corporation that's hired you, who will probably be in orbit, probably engaged in a fleet battle with the opposition. You can request real-time orbital strikes. And I've watched this at, this, I can't remember what the actual call, I'm going to call it Gamescom, I know it's not Gamescom, but CCP's annual meetup in Reykjavik, and I watched them. One guy playing on a PS3, one guy playing on a PC, and the guy on the PS3, sent up a request for an orbital strike. 5 seconds later, the guy playing on EVE on the PC gets the request, takes the target, fires, and the guy, on the PS3 watches as these enormous orbital strikes come down and blow up these tanks that have been pinning him down. I mean, that level of integration is amazing. Hats off to Sony for allowing CCP to have a go at this, for them coming to them with a completely revolutionary idea and said, look, we want to build a first-person shooter on your console which ties directly in to a massive multiplayer online game being played by a PC community. And Sony, to their eternal credit, said, yeah, sounds good. Let's see how we can work with it. It's a fantastic idea. My only question is, given the fact that, from what I understand of the pricing structure, etc., in Dust 514, there is no pricing structure. It will simply be that you are able to buy upgrades, guns, etc. But again, CCP have said that they're going to make sure that those aren't going to unbalance you, so you don't just get some, 15-year-old with daddy's credit card who goes in and turns himself into the ultimate pimpmeister. Apart from that, I don't really understand how they're going to make their money back unless there's going to be tons and tons and tons of in-game advertising. And maybe there is. Maybe that'll be it. Maybe, on each loading screen there'll be something from Ubisoft, something from Activision, whatever, But I don't really understand how that's going to work. And I particularly don't think it will work if, in order to pay themselves back for the money they've invested in Dust 514, they increase the subscription levels to the EVE Online players, i.e. subsidising the PS3 players. I don't think that'll work. But on the other side of it, looking towards more the positives, I think the fact that you've begun to get adverts on YouTube, you've begun to get posts on PlayStation networks from people who don't even own PlayStations. They're not interested in playing on PS3, but they are posting on the PSN networks and on the PlayStation forums as guild members from EVE saying, hey guys, we're looking to recruit experienced first-person shooter players. You can join a corporation, range of benefits, protection. First, we'll get you in, we'll get you your own ship, we'll get you in, various whatever it'll be. We can offer you these resources for raids. We offer this level of of remuneration. Are you interested? On the other hand, you've had PlayStation players beginning to group together and say, hey, we're now, Death Squad Alpha or something like that. We are very good at this, we're very good at this, we've got experience of all these kind of various things. Do you want to hire us? And pimping themselves out to the highest bidder. And of course, once you start getting that leaderboard going of groups or teams or squads that are become well known as being the best of the best when it comes to certain kind of missions, they're going to make a shitload of cash, because they're going to be like, you know what, we're not going to touch anything unless you offer us, 1 million credits minimum, then we'll take this job. So I think the potential for new stories and for just the level of intrigue, can you imagine it? You're going to have an agent who negotiates with someone, who talks to somebody else, who organises for a marine assault on a particular planet. That then feeds back into the corporation, which is then in a battle with another corporation. There might be issues about trade lanes going on. All the while, there are people on the planets fighting away. It's just amazing. It's a new level of interactivity. So, huge plus and huge ups to CCP for trying to make this happen, and I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. I am quite sure that they will get hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of PS3 players. The other thing to make is, of course, we're all playing on the same server. That's why you're going to get the real-time interaction. So this is an example of cross-platform play. I have been saying for years, I don't see any reason why you couldn't have, in certain games, cross-platform play. I understand that between consoles and PC, particularly for things like Twitch shooters, obviously having a mouse, you're going to be able to aim more readily, more easily than having a control pad. But for things like the Wii U, PS3, obviously the Xbox, I don't understand why we can't have cross-play. I mean, I don't understand it personally. I understand that for Microsoft it might be difficult because obviously you have to pay for XBLA. But if the new Nintendo Land, whatever that is free to play, which I imagine it will be, I can't see any reason why you couldn't have interaction between that and the PS3. Yeah, okay. So, moving on to the second topic, GTA 5. Oh, by the way, just in case you're wondering, I am taking a bit more time in this video because I haven't been naughty. YouTube have allowed me to have longer videos, which is great, which you get more of my madness for no price at all. Remember, it's all free. Anyway, going to GTA 5. I'm more convinced than ever now that we are going to see something this year, and I'll give you my reasons as follows. Number one, Max Payne. Max Payne 3 did not do as well, critically or commercially, I think, as Rockstar were hoping. You know, it was mostly 8s across the board. It wasn't your next, Red Dead Redemption. It didn't come out and blow people away and become the game of the year and lead to critical success and commercial success. It's a good game, but it's not a Rockstar game. And what I mean by that is that it's not selling anywhere near as well as they would have liked. Given the fact that also, as far as 2K, who are concerned, who are the publisher, given the fact that they expected it to do probably better than it is doing, given the fact that Bioshock Infinite has been pushed to next year, and given the fact that the only big release they've now got coming up is Borderlands 2, which will sell, no doubt, but given those factors, I reckon they've probably got a bit of a hole in their profit margin at the moment. And for that reason, I would be very, very surprised if there wasn't some conversation going on now between 2K and Rockstar to say, is it possible to get this game shipped? Now, it may be that Rockstar will turn around and say no. You know, Dan Houser is not a multi-millionaire and one of the world's most respected game developers because he doesn't know what he's doing. He, I'm sure, owns and has maintained ownership of the intellectual property rights in relation to the GTA franchise. I can't believe he wouldn't have done that. Him and his brother came up with it. Yeah, the company Rockstar was purchased by 2K, but don't tell me for 1 minute that he didn't look at that and think, actually, I'm keeping this because this is my baby. And the thing that Rockstar have when it comes to the GTA series that no other studio on the face of the world has is this. They can release that game at any time with almost no merchandising, with almost no, none of these big live action trailers or anything like that. They don't have to do that. All they have to do, right, to guarantee a $1 billion game, all Rockstar would have to do is say, oh, by the way, GTA 5's coming out in 3 weeks. And that's it. And we're all going to buy it. And watching this, you are going to go out and buy GTA 5. I am going to go out and buy GTA 5. Everybody's going to go out and buy GTA 5. And what that means for Rockstar is that they can afford to take their time with the game, they can afford to play around with it. But why do I think it is coming out this year? Partly because I do think that there will be pressure from 2K. In addition to that, we have started to see the telltale signs. Websites for organisations, banks, property owners, cults, religious organisations, etc., that are rumoured to feature in GTA 5 have started turning up. Twitter accounts, all this kind of stuff. Given the fact as well that there is nothing really of note coming out, and I include Assassin's Creed 3 in that, I'm not interested. Dishonored looks fantastic, but won't sell that well. There is no Megaton release coming out in the next 3 to 4 months. In addition to that, they probably don't want to hit the same period as COD. Obviously, Black Ops is going to come out November, December. You don't want to be around that because you're going to get smashed. I don't think they want to release it at the same time as Bioshock Infinite. I think they want to let Bioshock Infinite have its own place so it can sell well. Again, one of the things about the modern sort of cycle is you want to release your game at a point when people are going to be around to buy it, so maybe not in August, but also at a period where you're not releasing it next to something that is just going to totally destroy. I mean, it's like the difference between dropping a ship the size of a Titanic and a ship the size of a small tug into the water at the same time. The tug's going to get washed away. It might be a great tug, No one's going to see it though, because of the waves that will be caused by the larger ships. The same principle here, you know. If you're going to throw something into the pond, you want to have it so that it's the only thing causing ripples at that particular point in time. And for that reason, I think an October release of GTA might be on the cards. But we'll see. I could be talking complete rubbish, but I don't think it's beyond Rockstar to just seize the initiative and say, you know what, industry, you know what, world, you know that game that you love, that you've absolutely adored, the follow-up to the most successful game of all time, the most critically well-received game ever, the one that came out in 2008, it's coming out in 3 weeks. I mean, at that point, we are into, you know, Fry from Futurama territory, you know. Shut up and take my money. Just shut up. Give me that. But yeah. So we'll see where we are with GTA, but I'm sticking my neck out. I'm saying October release. I might be totally wrong, but if I'm not, at least we'll all be happy. Anyway, looking forward to new releases. Borderlands 2, which has been flying under the radar a little bit, I think. It hasn't had nearly the amount of coverage I would have expected after the first one. Loved the cel shading. Loved Pandora. Loved Claptrap. Another thing for Borderlands, if you haven't watched it, go and look up the Borderlands wedding proposal that a fan got the team at Gearbox to do. Fantastic game. And I think Borderlands caught a lot of people off guard when it came out. You know, it wasn't 9s, but it was mostly 8s, very goods across the board. Sold very well, did very well commercially. DLC was absolutely fantastic. You know, I think Gearbox and 2K ended up with a surprise winner of an IP on their hands, and they looked at it and they said, can we sequelize it? Terrible word, I'm sorry, but can we sequelize it? And they looked at the numbers and they said, hell yeah, yes we can sequelize it. Look at the numbers. We've sold millions of copies. We made an absolute fortune on this game, which we thought was going to do okay. And the greatest decision on Borderlands was the decision by the art team to petition oh, his name has flown out of my head. Lead designer at Gearbox Studios. It'll come back to me. They went to him and they sort of said to him, look, we've got all these designs, you know, they've storyboarded it, but we really want to keep that. And he looked at it and he went, you know what, take a risk. But let's not be like all the other first-person shooters. Let's not try to be ultra-realistic. Let's have our own style, which I love. And I love the guns. I love the fact that there are millions and millions of different guns in this game. I love the fact that you can get your own weapons, your own setup, which you're happy with. I'm going to play as a soldier, by the way. I know other people play as different things, as the brute or whatever, but I'm playing as the soldier. I love that sentry gun. It's amazing. And I am really, really looking forward to it. And I hope it will review extremely well. And because it was just fun. It was like Bulletstorm. It was a big, balls out, stupid, over-the-top shooter, and given the level of repetitiveness that we've got and reductiveness that we've got in shooters at the moment, where it's just murder, death, kill, let's be as realistic as we possibly can. No, let's not be as realistic as we possibly can. Let's actually create a scenario and an environment where people like you and me can have fun, right? Halo, fun. GoldenEye, unbelievably good fun. Battlefield 3, yeah, mostly fun. Medal of Honor, no. Medal of Honor, War Hunter. I mean, seriously, that marketing department should be taken out and shot. What is that? War Hunter. Ugh. Anyway, Randy Pitchford. That's the name of the guy at Gearbox. Thank you very much. Oversaw Duke Nukem Forever. Why? But, you know. So, yeah, looking forward to Borderlands 2. FIFA versus PES, as I mentioned in the previous video, I think PES is probably going to do better, but I want to wait to see in reviews. Dishonored, looking forward to, looks very, very interesting. Assassin's Creed 3, not going to buy. Just bored of Assassins now, to be perfectly honest. Yes, it's graphically better, but you're jumping in and out of windows. You've still got that stupid combat system where you stand like this and you just wait for the person to attack you, which I just is so... particularly, right, after playing Arkham City, which I've played more of now. Such a good game. Unbelievably good game. I've given up on the main plot. I'm just playing the Riddler challenges. Amazing game. I love it. Buy this game. With that in mind, Assassins is just like, you know what, I'm just bored. I can't be bothered with you. Looking forward to the rest of the year, though. That's kind of it. There's nothing else, is there? I mean, maybe I'm forgetting some absolutely stupendous, amazing game, but I'm quite surprised at the fact that nothing at the moment at reviews or look at previews or desperately track down all the kinds of information. I mean, when Skyrim was coming out, when Mass Effect was coming out, I was reading everything I could possibly get my hands on. There's nothing at the moment that's doing that for me. So what I'd be interested to know, if you want to leave a comment, let me know what game you're really looking forward to. What game are you desperately rooting for? It might be the Assassin's game. Fair enough. I'm just a bit bored, but I'll be interested to hear your thoughts. Okay? I think that's enough rambling from me. This is going to be the last of the sort of slightly archaic, amateurish looking videos. After this, I'm going to try and get a little intro going, do some kind of sexy stuff. It'll probably be really rubbish, but I'm going to have a go. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.